Field working its way, though, out of turn number 12, and we are about to go racing. The pace car is already headed off. The Honda Civic Type R in the pit lane. Field set. Again, looking for the green flag. 30 laps of USF Pro 2000 competition. They got to watch it. It's wet weather racing. Green, green, green. And we're underway across start finish. Remember, you have to make the apex of turn number 2. Let's pick it up and see who potentially has trouble. One driver already spinning further back, one of the TJ Speed cars. One of the VRD goes off as well. Van Berlo's gonna have to do a drive-through. So he cuts through, Van Berlo's gonna drive through. We may have a yellow here, and indeed we do, yellow flag, as we have contact coming up into turn number 1. Another driver, Van Berlo's driven straight off, and he's gonna spin it. He overcooked it into turn number 4 as well. Van Berlo's already gonna have to do a drive-through. But with the yellow flag, that changes things up a little. Again, that was drivers not figuring out the grip levels. We had contact lightly from behind. One of the TJ Speed cars got rotated and turned and made contact with the wall. That was coming down kind of into the braking zone. Not surprising the driver may have overcooked it. Obviously either Becklin or Skeets. Unsure which driver at this point. Let's give you a look at the start here. There's the driver who's having the trouble. That is Becklin. So Cooper Becklin's having an issue here. He's trying to get off the racetrack. You can see damage potentially to the left front. Have a look here to the right side. There's him into the wall. Another spinner further back. That might have been Ping who went around there. Van Berlo needs to make the cut through. That'll be a drive through for him. He gets back on the throttle and drives off over in turn number 4, overcooking it. Here's a good shot there. Oh, big hammer shot. That was, I believe, Ping drilled the back of Van Berlo. Let's make sure we get another look at this here because we can kind of dissect what we saw there as well. Wings further back. Yeah, we're definitely having another look at that replay. We saw, of course, that replay much better than the straight on one. But you can see that Ping, I don't know, did Ping get helped out? Now here it is again, perfect shot. So watch a little further back, already sideways. There's Ping, right into the back of Van Berlo. I'm not sure who got into the back there of Becklin. That's actually Skeets. That's Skeets, not Becklin. Oh, I thought it was Skeets. I was trying to pick up the logo on the car. That's Liam Skeets, 4th place in points. Contact from behind for Skeets. Oh, man. Local driver, though, able to scoot through. That was Cooper Becklin. Tough contact there, of course, for the drivers coming in. And I don't know whether or not Ping just misjudged the braking zone and drove right into the back of Berlo, or whether or not he had some contact in the back as well. But Noah Ping in the 65, right into the rear, into the attenuator of Van Berlo, who then drove himself off as well. I'm assuming, I don't know whether or not they're going to give him a drive-through at this point here because we're under yellow anyways. He's kind of self-penalized himself, driving a couple miles off the outside of turn number 4. Let's give you a rundown of how they kind of line up after that chaos. Nikita Johnson, P1. Simon Sykes able to slide through for 2nd. Lockie Hughes in 3rd. Frankie Mossman in 4th. 5th spot is Danny Jashelski. 6th, Jace Denmark. 7th, Ricardo Escoto. 8th, Cooper Becklin. 9th, DeTulio. 10th was Tyke Durst. 11th, Garcia Arce. 12th was Montiero. Starting from pit lane, Tanner DeFabus now 13th. Of course, he missed all of that action, luckily for him. Glenn Van Berlo, tail the field as he needs to be from missing the apex, never take the cut through. And then Liam Skeets and Noah Ping, likely both out of this race. So quickly going to first course yellow. Not the start we were looking for, of course. Nikita Johnson will take it, clean through that corner. He'll have a restart to work his way down. Told that on our chat room, people were wondering whether or not Nikita Johnson still has his mustache. I asked him to shave it off. He told me he would shave it off if he won at Mid-Ohio. He won, but then started leaning into the fact that maybe he won because of the mustache. So I was able to, that was reasoning that I could get along on side with. But I haven't had a chance really to talk to Nikita yet. It's been such a busy day. I spent 5 hours in the booth here this morning.
How do you even determine if that is the reason why you won the race?
I know, I get it. he said he'd shave it off if he won, similar to what Christian Lundgaard did when he was in Toronto last year.
Good Lord.
But he didn't shave it off and then actually took it to Europe and ran GB3. I remember seeing somewhere in a social media post that he was going to shave it off. He figured it didn't play out because he didn't have the results he needed at a GB3 race. So indeed, maybe it's gone. I said I haven't talked to Nikita yet because I've been in the booth all day. I didn't even see him yesterday either. It was nonstop. So that's a fantastic question that hard-hitting journalists need to know. So I'll see if I can't find out if Nikita's got that stash or not. Good insight. All my years as a pit lane reporter to be able to find out whether or not a guy has a stash or not. That's fantastic.
Hey, it's the little things in life, right?
It is, 100%.
We talked about that crazy start, and again, just like we saw with USF 2000, the Pro do not disappoint, and everybody's going off. It's like Oprah.
Yeah, again, good on the front guys getting through. Johnson, Sykes, Hughes did exactly what they needed to do. Ping obviously overcooking it coming into the corner. Someone got into the back of Skeet super early because that car turned around really early. They weren't really even hardly into the braking zone. He went around, especially in these kind of conditions where the braking zone is going to be a lot longer. You got to kind of tiptoe through with the reins on. So big contact with Skeets. And again, I don't know who it was that hit him to go around. I'm sure that they'll look at that. And then, of course, contact as well as Noah Ping got into the back of Van Berlo coming in as well. Now, listen, I have some sources being told that Nikita Johnson, hold on, he has shaved. Look, I got his pole award picture.
I can verify this.
It's gone. The chin spinach and the mustache is gone. I like it. So he's cleanly shaven and ready to race, folks. There you go. You asked, we brought it up for you. We know. So there you go. Hard-hitting journalism here. Anything you guys want in the chat, we'll try to help you out for that one for sure. Shout out to Diane Swintel for bringing that to my attention. And again, Johnson, Sykes, Hughes, Mossman, Deschelsky top 5, Denmark 6th, Skoto 7th, Becklin 8th, DeTulio 9th, Durst 10th. As they run on the racetrack, Lockie Hughes would score the championship. One race early. Work to be done here for Jace Denmark, but long way to go because it is still a very wet racetrack here. We are not anywhere close to being a dry track. Yeah, we got some blue sky, we got some sun, but we're back to green flag racing. All it takes is one mistake and it blows everything again wide open. Oh, how about 3 wide coming down? You'll like that, folks. Cross start finish, 3 wide. Can they make it into the corner? Oh, they are right on top of each other. Big run around the outside. Hughes trying to be smart. Around the outside comes fast Frankie Mossman, and he'll go to P2. Big run around the outside for Mossman. He is able to beat it, and Hughes wisely checks up. And again, for Lockie Hughes, a 35-point lead already. He just needs, if he finishes top 10, top 5, he's going to be in a great spot to win the championship tomorrow. And all he really needs to do is keep Jace Denmark behind him. So get through the opening corner. Don't throw it away yet, and now let things settle in. And again, indeed, that's what they're doing. Nikita Johnson out to the lead. But a nice aggressive move there, I think, for Frankie Mossman. He's trying to break through and get that first win as well. Great for him as he goes to second spot. And there is the battle further back between Ricardo Escoto and Jace Denmark. I think Escoto potentially by Denmark for 6 to move Jace Denmark back into 7th. He'll be pushing hard to work his way forward, knowing that championship bid, those aspirations to win the scholarship to move to Indy next in 2025 could go up in smoke here if he's not able to beat Lockie Hughes at the end of this 3-lap dash.
With those scholarships, guaranteed ride obviously in Indy next. Do teams bid for that? Sorry.
Hold on one second. Sorry, yeah, we'll come back to that. A couple of drivers off coming through, and maybe potentially one of the turn 3 car. I don't know if that was Lockie Hughes or not. 2 cars go off the racetrack. We'll come back and have a look at that later. That might actually be Jace Denmark. We'll see as they come down the order. I think Denmark might have went off the racetrack. Who was he with? Denmark's going to fall down to the 14th spot. Indeed, trouble for Denmark. It might have been he and Danny Deschelsky. I'm not quite sure. We'll have a look at this. We'll get the replay coming through. Hughes is the 4th place driver. So there's Hughes. I just coming through the corner here. Oh, a little bit of an issue there. Oh, off the racetrack there. Okay. That's the Danny Deschelsky. Has a little of a tank slapper in the braking zone coming into turn number 10. Not able to make the corner and go straight across. We need to get the replay if possible from the other camera on the outside of that corner. Well, hopefully we'll see that. But that will give us, listen, that was a great start to see that Dushelski had a bit of trouble. Not surprising, man. It is so hard to get through the corner. Being told, oh no, Chase Denmark potentially with a flat tire. That is potential sources, spotters coming in around the racetrack. We'll see what we can get for you here. That could be the end right there. This could be the championship for Lockie Hughes. We're gonna have the other look. Here it is here. So watch them come through. There is the Dushelski car going off. He's gonna try to not get into the tire wall there. But I wanna say Denmark spinning already, potential contact with he and Ricardo Escoto. So yeah, the Dushelski did not have anything to do. That was a separate incident. Dushelski had to cut the course after the issue for the turn-in of turn number 10, but it was the Escoto versus Denmark battle coming through turn number 11, which sent Denmark off the racetrack. So who is this here coming through? That could be Denmark there. So potential issue for Denmark. If he indeed comes into pit lane and goes down a lap, that effectively hands the race win, or rather the championship, over to Lockie Hughes. You'd obviously like it to finish out, you know, with a mano-a-mano battle, taking off the gloves and going after it. But that's not always the way these things happen. You've got to battle all year long. You don't think about those results early in the season, you think about them late. Indeed, Chase Denmark into pit lane. And this one is going to hurt, folks, because this is a young driver here is pouring everything into his career. And I don't want to take anything away. You can't take anything away from Chase Denmark. It has been a stellar season for Chase. 5 straight podium finishes to cap off the season there through Road America, Mid-Ohio, and Toronto. You add them all up, and it ends up being 9 podium finishes. Only 2 finishes outside the top 10. For Chase Denmark. This kid has shown everything he has, a fantastic driver in the race car and an absolute joy out of the car as well. One of the finest young men you'll find in the paddock. So indeed, I feel right now for Chase Denmark is they're going to get that tire on and get him back out onto the racetrack. The only thing he can hope for here is an issue for Lockie Hughes, because he is going to lose that lap coming back out here right now. Johnson, Mossman, Sykes your top 3. Escoto 4th, Hughes now 5th, DeTulio 6th. 7th is Dushelski, 8th is Van Berlo, 9th Cooper Becklin, Tanner DeFavis now up into the top 10, staying out of trouble. Montiero 11th, Durst, Garciarce 12th and 13th, Skeets and Ping out on the opening lap. And as we said, Chase Denmark down a lap. So if they finish as they are on the racetrack, we are going to crown our first championship of 2024 in Lockie Hughes, the Turn 3 Motorsports driver, the Australian. Both his parents are here this weekend. They have come in from Australia to be part of this weekend. I know Mom probably locked in the car right now. Father Howard's watching, but Mom, she just can't handle it. She doesn't like watching. I get it. We talked about that. She listens on the broadcast. Again, when they watch back home, it's obvious sometimes it's 3 o'clock in the morning when they're trying to watch these races. They said it's a lot tougher when you're here. You see the speeds these guys are driving and the level of competition. But Lockie Hughes looking to come away with the championship. Listen, he fought for it last year in USF 2000. He and, a little bit of an issue there. Mossman has to whoa it up to bring it down. He was closing right up on Nikita, got to within a half a second, but overcooked into the braking zone of turn number 1, but wisely got it back. He cut the course. He would have had to do the drive-through, able to get through the corner here now. There's the 2 Turn 3 Motorsports cars running together. Lockie Hughes in 6th and Danny Dushelski in 7th. So again, race control being kind of over here a little bit, that they are really looking at the incident between Ricardo Escoto and Chase Denmark over in turn number 11. Denmark remains on the racetrack for 1 lap down. Lockie Hughes, of course, I'm sure they're on the radio, guys, saying, listen, an issue, flat tire for Chase, stay out of trouble, bring it home. As long as you finish this race a lap ahead, it's done, right? So again, that radio communication to him is key. I'll go back and kind of finish off my thought with the fact that last year, Lockie Hughes was embroiled in a fight with that man right there, Simon Sykes, for a championship in USF 2000. He was right in the fight. He'd won, I think, 1 race in the first 4 events on the season. He did a great job in the middle of the scrap with Sykes, but just made a couple of mistakes, was forcing it, was thinking championship, and just made a mistake at Mid-Ohio that really things kind of fell apart. after that issue at Mid-Ohio, but he learned, right? He matured as a young driver. Came into this season with a different mindset. Made the move over to Turn 3 Motorsports, worked with Peter Dempsey, veteran driver, veteran engineer, and really a key opportunity for him to grow as a young man and as a driver. And it's paid off, Bobby. I'm telling you, he's been so impressive on the season. As I had said before, a horrible run at NOLA Motorsports Park. Everything outside the top 15. I believe, no, 1/10th place finish, but not what he expected after first and second at St. Petersburg. But this has really been a fantastic body of work for Lucky Hughes.
Consistency, that's the key, and you know, we talk about it a lot, especially, you're right, last year it was a great battle, and honestly, without 2 mistakes, he probably would have won that, but huge for him now to, as soon as this checker flag drops, if he finishes where he needs to, hey, you have that scholarship, $600,000 plus, you're headed to the next level. You know, you got to be excited for the young man.
And you know what, you mentioned the word consistency, and that's very true. And maybe even more than consistency, it's really optimizing and maximizing the car you have. Sometimes you don't have a race car to win, right? And you have to understand that. But maybe a driver with a little less experience, they push, they try for too much. You know, they try to overdrive the car. When, you know what, if it's a fourth place car and you can go P3, you've won. If it's a sixth place car and you can get fifth, you've taken it further than it needs to be, right? It's not going to be on the podium every time, but if you just keep stacking up those podium finishes, those top fives, eventually you're going to be at a hunt at the end. And with the wins he's been able to lock up, like I said, it's not like he's won 4 races on the season, swept the weekend at Road America to be able to put himself where he needs to be. So right now, Lucky Hughes, as we said, who runs on the racetrack in the 6th position, provisionally as they run, champion for USF Pro 2020.
One thing to watch, before it started raining, I looked at track temperature. It had peaked just about 100 degrees. Now, rain is done falling. We are starting to see in some parts of the course, the racing line is starting to be exposed. So, just something to keep in mind as we get toward the later stages of this race. Could we maybe see a gamble of teams that want to go put some slicks on? Still to be determined, but just be aware that the track is quickly drying.
Yeah, and there's 20 laps remaining. There is a lot. Yeah, you can see there's still a lot of water on the racetrack, but not the standing water we just saw. And we'd probably have to get some pretty beating sun to potentially make that happen. But again, 20 laps. As we said, a long way to go in this race for the drivers. There's still 23 minutes left. I don't know that we're going to go. I'm going to say right now, I don't think we're even close to being able to go to all the laps. As one of the Turn 3 drivers has gone off the racetrack coming into turn number 4. Yeah, I expect this to be a timed race with 23 minutes still to go, 20 laps, and the lap time's around 1:25. There's no way we're getting all 30 laps in, so it's going to be a timed race, which is key. These are the drivers who are falling a little further back. Yeah. Tim O'Brien, the timing and scoring chief here for the USF Pro Championship, is agreeing with me that it's going to be a timed race. They're not going to be able to get all these laps in. But again, it's still 22 minutes remaining still as well. There's the 2 drivers, Lucky Hughes right there. He's got Danny Dushelski right behind him, his teammate. I'm sure that they're on the radio with Danny saying, hey, whatever you do, don't make a mistake and get into Lucky. He's in a good spot right now. So Johnson leading by 1.4 seconds, but I want to say, yeah, Frankie Mossman is quicker. This could be the first win for Frankie Mossman. He's got 22 minutes to close back up. Remember, overcooked it on the push into turn number 1. Almost had to cut the course, but loaded up enough to get over to the apex of turn number 2. That's first, and that's second. Fast Frankie Mossman for Jay Howard Driver Development up on the wheel. Trying to get himself forward here. Johnson, Mossman, Sykes, Escoto, DeTulio, the top 5. So indeed, thinking about whether or not we get to the end where we get some dry line. I don't know whether or not we'll see it in 21 minutes, but I think I'm more concerned if I'm on the false grid right now over the paddock with USF Juniors. Are we going to go potentially to a dry race for juniors to cap off the day? You've looked at the weather, Bobby. Are we going to see any more precipitation?
You know, we just had a cell pop up.
Okay.
You know, and I mean, if you saw my body language, just like, oh man. Currently moving to the northeast. I don't know if this does graze us or not. Current track says maybe. How heavy it is, I don't know. One interesting thing is apparently there was a funnel cloud reported earlier today.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so that giant cell that moved off to our east. So, yeah.
Well, we'll have our own vortex here. We can push anything off, don't worry.
Hey, you know, just get the jet dryers out there.
That's it. There's Simon Sykes right there running P3, trying to get another podium here for Sykes. He looks to make that jump up into the top 5. In fact, with Liam Skeets in 15th, Simon Sykes may be able to go into P4 in the championship here today. Christian Brooks, we said, still P5, but obviously not running this final weekend, this final doubleheader. Did not run at Toronto either. That's what gave the opportunity for Glenn Van Berlo to take that seat. Simon Sykes having a good run here to P3 with, of course, as I said, Liam Skeets all the way back in 15th. This could be an opportunity for Sykes, who coming in was what, I want to say 17 points behind. Yeah, it's a good opportunity for potentially him to close up and battle for P4 in the championship. Simon Sykes, guaranteed, he's 24 years of age right now, so he's looking to potentially go Indy Next Racing next year. But again, it's all about finding the support. Another year in USF Pro 2000 would not be a bad thing at all for Simon Sykes, who has learned so much over this year. He's had such a great run, a couple of victories 2 wins, as we said. One on the road course in Indianapolis, one in Toronto as well. All told, 3 podium finishes, I believe, for Simon Sykes. Yeah, a couple of wins and a 3rd place run at NOLA Motorsports Park. So he hasn't racked up the podium finishes. But man, think about him coming back next year with Pabst Racing again, full season for Sykes. Man, he'd be in a good spot. There you have it right there. 6th, 7th, and 8th. Hughes, Dushelski, and Berlo. Lucky Hughes in the 44, trying to bring the championship home for Australia for Turn 3 Motorsports. And the opportunity to move to Indy Next in 2025. And again, I'll take the opportunity here to talk about what we've done with the USF Pro 2000 category. It cannot be overstated how well this program has developed drivers for IndyCar. You look at the last 6 champions of this series. The latest 4, the further 4 back, Rinus VeeKay, Kyle Kirkwood, Stingray Robb, Christian Rasmussen, all running in the IndyCar program. The most recent champions, Louis Foster leading the points right now in Indy Next. Miles Rowe as well, one of the stars of that program. Very likely a championship contender next year. Van Berlo going at it hardcore right now here with Dushelski. Trying to make a move to the inside, but again, you just take that as a champion of this category. You know what's happened with the 6 before you. Very likely all 6 of those drivers go into IndyCar. Australia would love to have another driver in IndyCar here as well, following the footsteps of Will Power. And indeed, Lucky Hughes has been so impressive here this year.
He really has been, and Australia loves their motorsports. You and I have talked about this a lot. Obviously, Will Power is a big deal back home in Australia from Toowoomba, but to get another guy from Australia here would be great. I would love to see more sponsors from Australia step back in. Obviously, we know what we had the previous generations of IndyCar, but it would be great to have more representation from the South Pacific.
Yeah, indeed. Another driver in there will get the job done, would it not? This is a good fight here again, as we said, for 6th, 7th, and 8th. Lucky Hughes just trying to keep the car on the track. You see how he's still pushing so hard. You see that car kind of swapping ends, doing everything he can to keep digging. In front of him right now is Alessandro D'Antulio, both those drivers turning 125.9s. 125.4 for Johnson, 125.5 for Mossman. He's still 1.5 back. Frankie Mossman trying to grab that first win of the season. Mossman currently 10th place in points. He'll move up to 9th and potentially 8th, depending on how Ricardo Escoto does here on the racetrack. We talked about the fact that race control was looking at the potential contact between Escoto and Denmark over at turn number 11. That could alter the results a little bit. Again, indeed, some of these drivers trying to improve their points. Simon Sykes being one of them. Again, Frankie Mossman trying to work his way up. Mossman, I think, is going to be a very tough driver in 2025 here at USF Pro 2000. His first year here in the pro category, and he's had some really good runs, some strong runs. 2nd place at Road America was his best run of the year. A number of top 10s though for Frankie, and it was a 1-car effort for the entire season. Literally, he has a teammate in Tanner DeFavis here this weekend, but he's coming up from USF 2000 for a one-off here to cap off the season. So really, it's been a 1-car effort for Frankie Mossman, and that's really tough when you only have that one stream of data, right? One of the big things about having a 3 or 4-car team is you go back, everybody pours over the data, you pour over video, you're able to compare yourself with what your teammates are doing. For Mossman, it's just been him, and just trying to figure the race car out.
You know, it really is impressive because, as you said, technical alliances, even within the team, is important because that's how you guys maximize the amount of available data and tools that you have. And to be a 1-car team with no help is very impressive. Again,
further back, we're watching more fights come through turn number 4 and 5. This could be further back here a little bit. I'm trying to think that might be Denmark coming his way through there, battling it out with Tyke Durst and Nicholas Montero, I think, further back. Of course, Denmark is a lap back. They used to dig. There's Denmark with that new tire back on the racetrack digging. Tough one for him. He'll have to sink this one in. Now, we'll say this right now. I'm going to go back because we do have a bit of time. What do we got? 15 minutes still remaining here. We've got another 15 laps to go, so it will be a timed race in 15 minutes. But I go back to 2 years ago when Jace Denmark was in a championship battle with Miles Rowe and Michael D'Orlando in USF 2000. We had, I want to say, 3 separate start incidents coming down into turn number 1. It really was a battle between the 2 Pabst Racing teammates, which is Miles Rowe and Jace Denmark. Really far back was Michael D'Orlando. He ends up winning the championship because of the incidents. Miles got into Jace, there was contact. It was a messy weekend for those drivers, both who have come away with the championship. But I'll go with this, is that Jason asked me earlier in the weekend, hey, if there's an opportunity for me to potentially get in the booth at the end of the weekend, could I do that? After the last race of the weekend, I think it was Pro, as the driver's gone around here in turn number 2. He doesn't win the championship, of course, down in the dumps, right? Just trying to fill it out. I went over to Jason, I said, you guys were there. I still have the booth spot. Do you want to come over? And he said, 100% I do. So here's the guy that just lost the championship, a chance to win all that money, the scholarship to move forward. And he still came over and sat down, and we had he was so good as a driver analyst. We talked about the emotions of it, what happened. I remember very well. He went so deep into it, and to have him step up, that was a sign of maturity for me, for Jace Denmark. And it's always put me in the right spot with Jace, as he was able to do that at the end of a very tough weekend.
It was a great interview, and the fact that you were able to get him to, and I remember you told him, he goes, just take off the emotional hat for a second and just put us in the cockpit. What's it like to go around that? And you could just see that light kind of click, like, I understand what's going on. And I think maybe even for a second, he understood, okay, maybe I was, outside myself looking at something different. But you're right, his maturity level is very impressive, and, we see that he continues to climb, and he will be a future star in the next few series.
100%, and hopefully in the Indy next year. So again, Nikita Johnson's lead, 1.9 seconds, put out a couple of good laps to stretch it out here a little bit on Frankie Mossman. Simon Sykes in the 3rd spot, Escoto in 4th. 5th spot is DeTulio, 6th is Hughes, 7th Jaselski, 8th is Van Berlo, 9th DeFavis, and 10th is Cooper Becklin. Again, 13 drivers still on the lead lap. Jace Denmark having to pit for that tire, 1 lap back in 14th. Liam Skeets and Noah Ping out of this race after the messy start we had down in turn number 1. Looking at the leaders here, actually big lap, fast lap for Simon Sykes, 1:23.1. Now again, Bobby talked about the fact that a potential dry line's kind of starting to appear a little bit here. Yeah, we're still getting a lot of rooster tails down the front straightaway, but not as much. We still have a potential cloud burst coming through, another cell maybe coming into the racetrack here, but our lap times are falling right now, 1:23.1. Sykes was a full second faster than the leader last time by. He's 5.1 seconds back, 12 minutes to go. There's 1st, there's 2nd, and there is 3rd. And Simon Sykes is hustling the Pabst Racing number 1 around here. Driver out of Georgia, digging. And when you're racing and you're a second faster, every lap, every corner, the guys up front, there's a good shot right there. You can see some dry pavement coming up the straightaway. They're gonna be pushing. But you can feel yourself getting closer. It's chasing that rabbit, right? You're closer, Bobby. When you know you're closer, you keep digging, you keep pushing. You do. Right? And that's it. Like, he was a full second faster. We'll see when they come back around here again. It was 5.1 seconds last time by. Can he keep improving? That's the key. Does he still have that pace? 1:23.7 for Johnson. What about Frankie Mossman across the line? 1:23.4. How about Sykes? 1:23.1. He cut another 0.8 of a second. Or 0.6 of a second out. He's 4.8 seconds back. Fastest driver on the racetrack right now is Simon Sykes. And how about this? 4 different teams in the top 4 as well. Johnson for BRD, Mossman for Jay Howard, Pabst Racing for Simon Sykes, Ricardo Escoto for BN Racing, and then give it up for BN Racing, 4th and 5th. Escoto in 4th, and DeTulio from deep in the field up to P5.
Big run for him.
Yeah, indeed. Again, we're going to keep watching Simon Sykes. Does he have enough to close up? Just over 10 minutes remaining here. He's gaining at least over a half a second a lap. but he's 4.8 back. He's going to need a ton of laps still. He's only got 10 minutes. And it's not like Mossman's close enough to put the pressure on. He's closed up a little bit. He's 1.6 seconds back. You know that Nikita Johnson, veteran driver, he's settling in. He's got himself a pace he can control, turning 23.7s. In fact, that last lap was his best lap at a 23.7, so he's still pushing hard. It's Sykes that's really digging. 4.8 seconds back from Mossman. Actually, 6.4 back from Johnson. So 6.4. Does he get a little more here? Lap 19, 123.3, 124.0. What a lap time for Johnson. 122.4 for Sykes, 9/10 of a second. He's 5.6 back. You know, if he keeps doing almost a full second, Sykes isn't done. Slower cars seeding the way for the leader to get by. Nikita Johnson looking to get yet another win on the season. It would be win number 7 for Nikita Johnson. Again, sitting there in 7th spot. Lockie Hughes doing what he needs to do. Glenn Van Berlo's been able to get by both Deschelski and Hughes. And you know Lockie wasn't going to fight him. And in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he lets his teammate get by Deschelski as well. All he's got to do is finish anywhere in front of Jace Denmark. If he brings it home right now, because Denmark's a full lap back, Lockie Hughes will be our first champion of 2024. Huge for him to be able to get this job done. You got to give a shout out to Lockie Hughes, who's put together just a fantastic body of work over the weekend, over the season. $681,500 sitting there waiting for him in the championship celebration on Sunday evening. Sykes is going to try to get a little bit of a draft if he can off the D-Force car that's further back. 23.2 for Johnson, 23.5, 22.4, another 8/10 of a second. Sykes just 2 seconds behind Johnson and 4.7 behind Johnson, 2.1 behind Mossman rather. 8 minutes to go. Well, isn't Simon Sykes making things interesting here at the end? Fastest driver on the racetrack. Can he get it done? Can he close up and potentially challenge, at least for second, but maybe even for the race win? He'd need 5 laps. Lap time wise, he could get it. He could get 5 laps. Simon Sykes and the Pabst race machine digging to try to work his way up first on Frankie Mossman. Last time he was a full over a second faster. He's 2.1 back. It'd be 2 laps for him to get there. There's Mossman. Look at Sykes. But again, this is where they're going to start thinking about the tires as well, Bobby. You may see them come across to get some water on those tires a little bit, because there is that dry line that's going to start beating up on these Continental wets. Drivers love these Continental rain tires. There's your leader. There's second, and there's third. Back across the line once again for Nikita Johnson. He did a 23.2. No, he goes down to a 22.6. The track's getting faster. 22.6, 23.3, or 22.3, 22.3. Sykes just hit the wall. Both Johnson and Mossman essentially matching the lap times of Simon Sykes. But lap times are falling. Top 9 drivers all quicker on that lap. Dry line developing. What do you think if you're a juniors driver on the false grid right now? Like, I'm going racing here in about 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes.
Right, I'm looking at this cloud that's just approaching, the Festival Curve, Shelton Chicane, and the west end of the complex. And man, if this thing just maybe scoots off, we get a full dry race. But I will say this: could you imagine half the track wet, half the track dry?
Oh my goodness, indeed, for the youngest drivers.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, come on, it's racing, right? Welcome to the Northwest. But we've talked about that, and we had mentioned it a little bit earlier when I was talking with Phil. Even though the track is relatively flat, there is a little bit of incline from certain places, and the water does drain relatively well. So it's not a surprise that we have seen the dry line. Great shot there, by the way, looking into that, into turn 10, where they make that left-hand turn. But you see it now out here on the front straight, even down here on pit lane. It is starting to dry out a little bit, but as you said, drivers are trying to find the wet to keep those tires cool, because you don't want them coming apart.
So big lap there for Simon Sykes. He goes fast at about 121.5, 0.8 quicker than Johnson, over a second faster than Frankie Mossman. He's within a second on Mossman right now. There it is right there. That's the battle for second. Simon Sykes, who enjoyed his trip here to Portland last year, leaving as the USF 2000 champion, is now looking to put some pressure here on Frankie Mossman for P2. And again, Sykes currently 6th place in points, looking to try to leapfrog himself up potentially into 4th. As Liam Skeets, one of the drivers who was taken out in the opening lap over in turn number 1 on the first drive down into the festival chicane. Here's a move to the inside. Look at this. Simon Sykes is going to get the job done to the inside. Book it. He is through. Mossman tried to fight him back. They're going to go side by side down the back straightaway. Mossman tried to over-under him. Oh, how about this in the wet weather? Mossman does not want to give up second. Does he throw it to the inside coming into turn number 10? Indeed he does, not quite enough. And the pass gets done over in turn number 10. And that's a good place for it to get done for Sykes. Probably perfect, because look at this. Then he's full all the way through 11 and 12, is not going to lose a lot. So he goes to second, 4.5 minutes remaining, 122 lap times, 3, maybe 4 laps remaining here. The gap between first and second now 3.8 seconds. Johnson was able to go quicker as, of course, Sykes lost a little bit there, having to go to the inside of turn number 7 to get the pass done. But does Sykes have anything left? There's a little bit more magic left in that number 1 machine. Top 10 rundown here with 4 minutes to go. Johnson, Sykes, Mossman, Escoto, and DeTulio. Van Berlo runs 6. Lucky Hughes, your champion-elect, in 7th. Danny Dashelski in 8th, Tanner DeFavis in 9th, and Cooper Becklin rounding out the top 10. 11th is Tyke Durst, 12th is Nicholas Montiero, 13th George Garcia-Arce, 14th, 1 lap down, Jace Denmark. But this is the battle we're watching right now. Look at how Sykes has just jetted away from Mossman. I think Frankie knows he's got 3rd locked and loaded. He would like to get another podium finish. Mossman again trying to work his way up into potentially a battle for 8th, 9th on the championship. He's currently 10th, 9th for sure. Potentially we could fight out for 7th with Denny Zashelski. Driver slowing there, coming out of turn number 12, potentially a spin for whoever that was. Looks like the 33 at Tyke Durst potentially going around in turn number 12. Wow, 20.7 for Sykes, almost a full second faster than Nikita Johnson. It's 2.9 seconds, 3 minutes to go. We may be able to scoot in 3 more laps. We'll see how it plays out. 2 or 3 laps to go in this one here. It's a timed race. It will be very close, and Sykes may need all of it. He may need that 3rd lap. He was quicker by 0.9 of a second. He gets it down to 2.9. A 21.6 for Johnson, 20.7 for Sykes. Fast lap of the race as well. Johnson's going to get bonus points here for the most laps led. He's trying to get the 30 for the win. Look at that as he rolls his way through turn 7. You can see the lock that he had on the wheel, trying to get that car to rotate. A little bit of that mid-corner understeer. It's so tough in these conditions as it's getting a lot more grippy. We're getting that dry line. The tires are, of course, going off. These wet do not like it. They're getting chewed up. But Simon Sykes can taste a potential race win. And what an exciting finish it would be. Again, working their way back around. The key is, do we get 2 more laps? 1:56 on the clock. Yeah, I think we're going to get 2 more. They're going to come back around here, and we'll, I think, sneak it underneath the time there. Yeah, still 1:49 to go, so it's going to be likely 2 more laps. What do we got for lap time? 0.7 of a second. Simon Sykes 2.2 back. One driver having trouble not making the corner there. That's going to be a slower D-Force car in front of our leaders. How will that play out? Will they get out of the way? Nikita leading by 2.2 seconds, looking for win number 7 on the season. He won at St. Petersburg, won 2 races at NOLA, 1 race at Indianapolis, swept the weekend at Mid-Ohio, so it would be race number 7, victory number 7 for Nikita. But Simon Sykes looking to throw in a challenge here at the end. Right now, though, let's talk about Lucky Hughes as well. 7th on the track. Again, all he's got to do is bring it home here to win the championship. Jace Denmark needed to finish in front of him. Contact between he and I believe Escoto over in turn number 11 put him off track with a flat tire. We'll get back to Lucky Hughes. Right now, let's continue to watch this challenge. Oh, Sykes is gonna feel it. 2.12 back. He needs to be over a second quicker on this lap. White flag. Do we see the white flag? Indeed we do. Looking at Aaron Likens. White flag flying. Sykes digging. He may have needed one more lap. A 20.8, a 19.8, a full second quicker. Oh, he's going to come up potentially just short. They got to dig their way through final lap. That slower car out front couldn't play a role. Sykes is digging for a race win. If you're Frankie Mossman, you want these two drivers to battle each other to the end and potentially take each other out. He's P3. It still would be a fantastic podium finish for Frankie Mossman and Jay Howard driver development. Oh, look at Simon digging. Short track, not a lot of opportunity from here on. That D-Force car still running good lap times. Big line, different lines coming through 7. Again, it could be a drag race to the line. Sykes is close. Oh, we could get ourselves a drag race down the back straightaway into turn number 10. Sykes is definitely close. Into the slipstream as well. You can't go to the inside because there's no grip on the bottom of the racetrack. He's going to have to drag race into the line if possible. He'll need to get through turn 11 and 12 cleanly. A little bit of a draft help there from the car up front for Nikita Johnson. One more lap, it would have been, I think, a lot better for Simon Sykes. He's not going to get the job done, but he puts on a show. Twin checkers are out, and the winner today, and by a short margin, Nikita Johnson, win number 7. Chased hard by Simon Sykes. Sykes goes 0.6 quicker on the final lap. Finishes second by 0.6 of a second. One more lap, and I think we would have saw Simon Sykes potentially challenging for the race win. Here they come, though, folks, out of the final corner. Got to be clean around one of the other slower cars, and they'll come to the line. And I believe Lockie Hughes coming across the line. He will finish 6th, and he will be your first champion of 2024. Lockie Hughes winning the title in USF Pro 2000. He'll take a scholarship to Indy next in 2025. Mission accomplished for the Aussie as Lockie Hughes for Turn 3 Motorsports winning the championship. Congratulations to Peter and Mandy Dempsey as well. Everybody at Turn 3 Motorsports. 6th place was enough for Lockie Hughes. Nikita Johnson with the win. Simon Sykes ends up in 2nd. Frankie Mossman in 3rd. Ricardo Escoto in 4th. Not sure what happened to Alessandro Detulli over the last couple of laps. He ended up getting passed by Glenn Van Berlo and then lost positions to both Lockie Hughes and Danny Dashelski as well. Hughes 6th, Dashelski 7th, Detulio 8th, Tanner DeFavis 9th, started from pit lane, stayed out of trouble and finished 9th. Cooper Becklin rounding out the top 10, Nicholas Montiero in 11th, Tyke Durst in 12th, George Garcia-Arce 13th, and Jace Denmark, last driver completing this race as he finishes in the 14th spot. Jace Denmark issues, of course, trying to see if he could finish ahead of Lockie Hughes. It didn't come to play. Nikita Johnson, the big winner on the day, holding back a charging Simon Sykes. A fantastic drive for Frankie Mossman. But Lockie Hughes is most certainly the man of the hour, the first of 3 champions we will crown here in 2024. And again, obviously unofficial, as he'll have to get through tech, the whole deal. Nonetheless, we will celebrate at Victory Lane. Not only will we have the top 3, but we'll also bring our champion, Lockie Hughes, onto the podium. And we're all wrapped up there. What can you say about this kid in the number 17 machine? Nikita Johnson, 7 wins on the season. Having a good look at those tires as well. They held up nicely. Dan Mitchell congratulating Simon Sykes. Mitchell, the owner of VRD Racing, his driver, of course, Nikita Johnson. Here comes the champion in here as well, Lockie Hughes. As I said before, the parents are here. He was so focused, so quiet before the start of this race, just trying to get the job done. Hughes will get out of the car. The team will work their way down here. He is the champion for 2024. Lockie Hughes going Indy Next Racing in 2025. Fantastic drive. Turn 3 Motorsports. There's the celebration right there. Peter Dempsey, team owner, working his way down. You talk about how big a race win is, but when you win a championship, it's a full body of work. It is a season worth of digging. It's the time in the garage. It's time working over the data, getting those cars prepped perfectly. There's Mandy Dempsey as well. You know, one of the things, guys, they always say is that a lot of races aren't won actually on race weekends. They're won in the garage, right? They're won back at the shop when these guys put in so much time, all the little details to putting a car together perfectly. They're spec race cars, everybody on the same equipment, but the team has to put it together and do everything absolutely perfectly so the car you bring to the racetrack is capable of winning week in and week out.
Yeah, and you mentioned it earlier, guys are spending time in the gym, in the sim, just trying to find that little edge that they can make the difference, because as you said, spec cars, everybody's working with the same equipment. It's how you handle yourself, right? It's how you are able to pilot your machine that will determine how well you do. And I mean, what a great drive. Nikita Johnson, 7th win of the year, amazing.
Yeah,
Lockie Hughes, congratulations, the championship, gets to go to Indy next year,
yeah,
and that's absolutely huge for him.
Well, and again, this is what we look at this, right? It's an individual championship. He's won the driver championship, but again, that driver championship, you know, you share it with everybody on your team because there's so much work that gets done. You know, they're the guys that are here at 6:30 in the morning unloading the car and getting things dialed in, and when there's a wreck, they're the ones that are here at midnight putting the thing back together to make sure you make that race at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning the following day. So the bottom line is a couple of big winners on the day. Obviously, Lockie Hughes with that championship. Well, congratulations to him. We'll talk to him before, of course, we go USF Juniors racing. Nikita Johnson, a tremendous drive, as we know, able to get himself another victory, win number 7 on the season. Simon Sykes put on a show at the end, coming forward, getting first by Frankie Mossman, then maybe one lap short of going for the race win. Incredible drive for Simon Sykes. Frankie Mossman finishing up in that 3rd spot. Good for him as well. His 2nd podium on the year, and I think Bobby, when you could finish the race off, the weekend off here in Portland with that momentum, it feeds into off-season testing. It feeds into 2025. You want to finish strong, and for Frankie Mossman to get another podium and to potentially come back tomorrow and get the job done as well. Huge for him as he's trying to work his way up closer. He's 10th right now in points coming in, but I think he's going to be able to fight for 8th or 7th before it's all said and done.
What a great job. All these guys need to be congratulated. A great season for them. Get to celebrate with you on Sunday. I know you got to head down to Victory Lane to crown a champion, a driver championship, and a race winner. So I know you're going to head down there. Phil, what an incredible, incredible race that was. Again, more drama. We knew the water to start, and then it dried out. But what an incredible race.
We saw a lot, like you said, between the wet start, then drying out, a little bit of rain in between, and for a race that got a little spread out with the leader. Boy, I'll tell you what, right at the end, Simon Sykes made it pretty exciting there, even though we ran a couple laps short of finish because it ended up being a time race, but great finish, great to see Lockie Hughes win the championship and make his next step, and still got one more great race to go yet today.
Oh, I can't wait. Simon Sykes was literally running laps a second faster than Nikita Johnson, and it took maybe a good 10 laps for him to finally catch up, and as Rob just said, had it been another lap or two, could have been a whole different outcome. But man, what a great race. I love the fact that the track is drying out. You know, we're watching some possible showers pop up here and there. We're getting to the time of the evening, though, where stuff that's powered by the sun has a tendency to kind of dwindle pretty quick. So we might luck out. There is one little cell that we're watching off just to our west. Other than that, it looks relatively good here at PIR. But man, what a great day. Lots of drama, and that's what we love.
Exactly, and the USF Juniors that are coming up next, it'll be a lot different start than we had last time.
Oh my gosh,
they started off in the rain, now they're starting out.
They'll probably start off in the dry,
dry.
And race control will determine, how that start is. But what a great afternoon of racing here. The morning was awesome. The morning session was great, but see Indy next, NTT IndyCar Series, it was great. We're throwing down to Rob Howden in Victory Circle. Rob, take it away.
Bobby, thank you so much. Let me tell you right now, don't go anywhere because we have to have like a 7 o'clock curfew here. So I'm probably going to be still down here when this race starts. So you're going to have to run the first couple of laps here if I don't get up there in time. Again, we got our USF Juniors rolling out, and we're going to go green as soon as we possibly can to make sure we make that curfew. Big race here because not only do we have a race winner, but we of course have our first champion of 2024 as well. Let's start with the top 3 drivers here in the race, then we'll have a chance to chat with the champion as well. Great drive here, folks. The driver coming home P3, his 2nd podium of the year. Give it up for Frankie Mossman from J. Howard Driver Development. Great job for Frankie. Again, momentum working into the offseason, into 2025. Great job for him. The guy we were watching over the last couple laps, so he was anywhere from between a half a second and a full second faster, up on the wheel from Pabst Racing, a drive to second for Simon Sykes. Wow. And again, potentially fighting for fourth in points the way this is playing out. Good job hit for him there. Again, folks, 7 wins on the season. You can't say much more about this young driver from Florida. Such a talent, incredible drive here today in tough conditions. Again, 7 wins, one of them here in Portland. Put your hands together from VRD Racing, Nikita Johnson. Nikita, let's talk about that race out there. I know wet weather is obviously tough. It really kind of puts things on the driver a little bit. Tell me about the conditions first and foremost.
Yeah, the conditions were changing every lap, so it was a bit hard. I was sending it in the beginning to try to get a lap, so at the end my tires were a bit cooked and Simon was right there, so luckily we didn't have another few laps, but just happy to bring it home in one piece.
You've had a fantastic season both here and overseas, 7 wins. Just tell me what that means.
Yeah, it's great to get 7 wins this year, 8 on track, 7 off track, so just can't thank the VRD boys enough. You know, we've had a winning car all year, and it's just great to be with them.
Obviously, one more race tomorrow. Try to finish the season with an exclamation point. Who else do you want to thank for everything you've had this year?
I want to thank my dad, my mom, and Kai for coming here and always supporting me. Everybody on VRD, especially Dan, Jacob, Russ, my mechanic Hugo, all the Arden VRD boys from England that are coming over here and helping out, all my sponsors that are helping me out to get to every racetrack, and just everybody back home that's watching.
Nicely done. Hop on top of that podium. Nikita Johnson, folks, again, a tremendous young American talent. Another victory for him here. Excellent job for Nikita Johnson. Again, All-American on the podium here. Another podium finish, second one this year for Frankie Mossman. Simon Sykes, who had such a great weekend here last year in Portland, celebrating that USF 2000 championship. But again, a great run for him as he tries to battle his way up to potentially 4th place in the points. Still lots of positions up for grabs, except for P1, and we're going to move to that one here in a couple of minutes. Again, as I said, USF Juniors drivers will roll them out here. If you're watching the broadcast, we may miss that first little bit as we're going to fire those cars up and get them racing as soon as we possibly can. As soon as we're done here with our championship celebration, we'll throw it back up to Bobby Corser and Phil Martelli to call the first lap or so until I can get back up into the booth. But we have celebrations to do down here. We're going to stick with this focus on the championship. USF Juniors, we can pick those guys up potentially. Hey, boys, grip it and rip it. Let's have some champagne time. Celebration for the drivers making it to the podium here today in USF Pro 2000. We're not done yet here, though, with the celebration time as our USF Junior drivers roll onto the racetrack to get things underway. We will pick them up in progress as they get things ready to start things up. We'll get some shots done here for Nikita Johnson, and then, of course, ready to roll. Nikita, thank you so much. We appreciate it, folks. We got one more presentation to start things off. We have 3 championship trophies that we brought to Portland here this weekend. One is getting awarded right now because it's been a fantastic season for this young driver. Battled out for a championship last year, came up just short. This year, though, he gets the job done. Ladies and gentlemen, our champion for USF Pro 2000, Lucky Hughes. Lucky, all the heartache last year, all the wins. You're a different driver this year. You're a more mature young man. Tell me, just give me the emotion right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty speechless, to be honest. I mean, I just can't thank the team enough. I mean, you know, all year. I mean, it's been such a nice family environment with Pete and Mandy and the mechanics and just everyone involved. So, no, I mean, this is for them. This is for turn 3. I mean, yeah, it's just been amazing. I'm
sure you got the call in that Jace Denmark had some issues. A strong run battling with your teammate Danny Dashelski. When did it sink in? Was it coming to the checker at the end or what?
It still hasn't really sunk in yet, to be honest. But no, I mean, I saw Jace have a moment, so I sort of already knew. To be honest, I was just bringing it home. I just had to finish.
Nicely done. Dan Anderson will get him up here with that trophy. A well-deserved championship for Lucky Hughes. And, of course, a huge shout-out to the Dempseys at Turn 3 Motorsports. All the crew there as well that digs in day in and day out to be able to provide these drivers with the cars that they need to win a championship. And you can't say much more about Lockie Hughes. Fought for the championship with Simon Sykes last year, came up just a little bit short, but he is your champion here. The trophy is there. Folks, if you're down here with me one more time, a round of applause for our champion this year in USF Pro 2000, Lockie Hughes, getting it done for Turn 3 Motorsports. Oh, it'll be a party there tonight.